Hello students, I am Mahesh Javalkar from Marathwada Polytechnic, co- coming out with my fifth video on semiconductor devices MCQ, which can help you in your DCET. Okay, so we'll go to the questions. The next question will be question number 71, and in that question he has asked the full form of CMOS is what. Okay, now CMOS means complementary metal oxide semiconductor, and why it is called as complementary, because you are using a N channel MOSFET and a P channel MOSFET, a NMOS and CMOS both. Okay, because you are using both on a same substrate, N channel and P channel, two MOSFETs you are using on the same substrate, it is called as complementary MOS, that is complementary metal oxide semiconductor. So in this option C, that is complementary metal oxide semiconductor, will be the correct answer. Okay, then we'll go to the next question, question number 72. CMOS has a dash power consumption. Okay, now as I've told you earlier also, CMOS is having complementary, that is two different types of MOSFET. One is N channel MOSFET and one is P channel MOSFET. Okay, now whenever you use it in a circuit, say for example inverter, okay, now both the MOSFETs will not be on at the same time. Simultaneously, they are not going to conduct current. That means the magnitude of current will be very low, and hence the power consumption will be very low. So CMOS has a great advantage of low power consumption. So here the answer should be A. CMOS has low power consumption. Okay, this is a very important advantage of CMOS, and that is why it is used more in your VLSI design. Okay, then we'll go to the next question, question number 73. That is a UJT has, okay, UJT is uni junction transistor. Uni means one. So we, if you remember the structure of UJT, it has only one PN junction. That is why it is named as uni junction also. So uni junction means one PN junction. So in these options, he has given two PN junction, one PN junction, three PN junction, and none of the above. So from this option B, that is one PN junction, will be the correct option. Okay. Now you can see here a UJT has one PN junction. Okay. Now we'll see question number 74. In a UJT, the p-type emitter is dash doped. Okay. Now if you remember the structure of UJT, you can remember that it is a n-type bar in which a small p-type material is induced, and that p-type material is going to act as emitter, and that is going to emit the majority charge carriers holes. Okay, so that p-type has to be heavily doped. So here in a UJT, the p-type emitter is heavily doped, so answer should be B, it should be heavily doped. Clear? Then we'll go to question number 75. When the emitter terminal of a UJT is open, the resistance between the base terminal is generally what? Okay, now we know that in UJT you have one emitter, base 1 and base 2. Okay, now whenever you say something is open, when something is open, then automatically the resistance has to be high. So here we are saying that when the emitter terminal is open, automatically the resistance between the base terminal B1 and B2 will be high. So that is a logical question, and this is a logic answer, it should be high. So here the answer is high. That is, when the emitter terminal of a UJT is open, the resistance between the base terminal resistance will increase. That is, it will be high. Okay. Then we'll go to question number 76. When a UJT is turned on, the resistance between emitter terminal and low base terminal. Okay, emitter and B1. So emitter terminal and low base terminal, what will happen to that? Okay, so automatically when the UJT is on, okay, that means the current starts flowing. Once the current starts flowing, if current is flowing means according to our Ohm's law, the resistance has to decrease. So when UJT is turned on, the resistance between the emitter terminal and lower base terminal has to decrease because current starts flowing. So here the answer will be B, that is, when UJT is turned on, the resistance between emitter terminal and lower base terminal is decreased. Okay. Then we'll go to question number 77. To turn on UJT, The forward bias on the emitter diode should be dash the peak point voltage. Okay. Now, if you see the graph of UJT, the graph of UJT is drawn by having your x-axis will be showing current and y-axis should be showing voltage. So initially you increase the emitter voltage and the emitter voltage has to reach a certain point, peak point. Okay, and after it reaches and crosses the peak point, then only the UJT will turn on. So here, to turn on UJT, the forward bias on emitter diode should be more than the peak point voltage. So answer should be more than the peak point voltage. After it crosses the peak point voltage, the UJT is triggered, it turns on. Okay. Then we'll go to question number 78. A UJT is sometimes called as dash diode. Okay, now the options are low resistance, high resistance, single base, and double base. Now we know that in UJT you have emitter, base 1, base 2. So there are two bases. So it is obviously double base. So here the option will be double base. Okay, that is base 1 and base 2 is there. So it is double base. So UJT is sometimes called as double base diode. Okay. Then we'll go to the next question, question number 79. When the temperature increases, the intrinsic standoff ratio, what will happen to that intrinsic standoff ratio? Whether it will increase or decrease or it will remain same or none of the above. Okay. Now if you remember intrinsic standoff ratio of UJT, it is a ratio of the resistance of base 1 upon resistance of base 1 plus base 2. That is RB1 upon RBB. Okay. So it's a ratio of resistance. So when the temperature increases, whatever effect happens to the resistance, when you are speaking about a ratio of resistance, the ratio of resistance should not change. That means in this case, the answer should be C, essentially remains the same. So when the temperature increases, the intrinsic standoff ratio, that is a ratio of resistance, okay, that will essentially remains the same. Okay, so you should not get confused with increasing or decreasing, because with temperature the resistance has to increase or decrease, whether it is negative coefficient or a positive coefficient. But when you are speaking about a ratio of resistance, that is intrinsic standoff ratio, then that will remain same. Okay, because the effect will be on both RB1 also and RBB also. Clear? Then we'll go to question number 80. Between the peak point and the valley point of UJT emitter characteristics, we have dash region. Okay. If you remember the graph of UJT, the x-axis is having current and y-axis is shown as voltage. Okay. So initially the voltage will increase and reach the peak point. After that, the voltage will decrease, but current will increase. Okay, voltage decreases and current increases. That means it is inverse to your Ohm's law. Voltage is decreasing and current is increasing is inverse to your Ohm's law. If anything is inverse to the Ohm's law, it is called as negative resistance. So here the answer should be B, negative resistance. Between the peak point and the valley point of UJT emitter characteristics, we have negative resistance region. Okay. Then we'll go to question number 81. The UJT may be used as, okay, now if you have a UJT, the main application of UJT, it can be used as a sawtooth generator. It can be used along with a capacitor. It can show the charging and discharging as it is triggering and offing. Then you can generate a sawtooth waveform, and with that it can be used as a sawtooth wave generator. Okay, so answer should be B. The UJT may be used as sawtooth wave generator. Clear? Then we'll go to question number 82. The device that exhibits negative resistance region is, okay, so negative resistance region among these four options what he has shown, dioide, triac, transistor and UJT, only UJT will be giving you a negative resistance region. So answer will be UJT. Okay, that is the fourth option, D. Then we'll go to question number 83. A DIAC has dash terminals. Okay, now we know that DIAC is a two-terminal device. So both the terminals can be interchanged and it is a two-terminal device. It is a bidirectional switch. It is a bidirectional device and it works for AC. It is the AC of diode. Okay, diode for AC. Okay, so here the answer should be two-terminal. So here it is having only two terminals. It does not have anything called as gate or base type of terminal. Okay, so it is only two terminals. One can act as your terminal T1 and other can act as terminal T2. So one can be positive, one can be negative. If the other one is positive, the opposite one will be negative. So it can be interchanged. Okay. So diac has two terminals. Then question number 84, a diac has dash p-n junctions. Okay. Now here, if you go according to the theory of thyristors, thyristor is a family in which you have diac, triac, SCR, SEOs, all these type of components. And all these components are having four layers. Okay. So they are having four layers because they have to handle a high power, high voltage, high current. So if you go according to the theory of thyristors, then a diac should have three p-n junctions. It is a four layer device and having three p-n junctions. Okay. Now this statement will be contrary to a statement if you study diac as a three layer device. Okay, now DAC is also available as three layer or four layer or five layer. So if you study it as a three layer device, where you can say that it acts as a transistor and it is having only three layers, PNP or NPN, in that case answer will be 3. Okay, in that case the number of PN junctions will be 2, the layers will be 3. But if you go according to the thyristor theory, according to the thyristor theory, so it will be having four layers and three p-n junction. So I think it is better to answer as four layers. Okay, a diac has four layers and three p-n junctions. So here the answer should be 3. Okay, so your answer should be 3. A diac has three p-n junctions. Next we'll go to question number 85. The device that does not have the gate terminal. Okay, now if you see all these options, the first one is triac. Triac is having three terminals, one is gate from that. Second one is FET. FET is having three terminals, one is gate from that. Third is SCR. SCR is having three terminals, one is gate from that. And fourth one is DIAC. DIAC is having only two terminals, there is no gate terminal in that. So here the answer should be DIAC. Fourth one, DIAC. The device that does not have a gate terminal is DIAC. Okay. Then we'll go to question number 86. A DIAC has dash semiconductor layers. As I've told you earlier, if you go with the thyristor theory, a DIAC should have four semiconductor layers. Okay. If you go with the thyristor theory, it has four semiconductor layers. If you go with the theory where it is acting as a transistor, bidirectional transistor, then you can speak about three layers also. But don't get confused over here. You go with the thyristor theory and say that a DIAC has four semiconductor layers. Okay, because it is a member of a thyristor family along with SCR, TRIAC, DIAC. No doubt it is used only for triggering, but it is a member of thyristor family. Okay. Then we'll go to question number 87. The normal way to turn on a DIAC is by. Okay. Now the DIAC, we know it is a bidirectional device. It is bidirectional switch. It works on AC. Okay. But it will be triggered. It will get on only when a certain voltage is crossed. When the applied voltage goes beyond certain voltage, it is going to become on. That means it will be turned on only by some breakover voltage. So here the option will be C, breakover voltage. The normal way to turn on a DIAC is by breakover voltage. Clear? Then we'll go to question number 88. A DIAC is dash switch, whether it is a AC switch or DC switch or mechanical switch or none of the above. So obviously it is a AC switch because it is a bidirectional device. It can work for positive input also and negative input also, alternating quantity. So a DIAC is a AC switch. So answer should be A, an AC switch. Okay. Then we'll go to question number 89. A TRIAC has three terminals. Now what are the three terminals of TRIAC? Okay, so a TRIAC will be like your DIAC only, but it is having one control terminal. Okay, so it will have two main terminals called as MT1 and MT2 or T1 and T2 and a gate terminal. Okay, so here the option should be B. A TRIAC has three terminals. They are called as two main terminal. Okay, that is MT1 and MT2 and a gate terminal. Clear? Then we'll go to question number 90. A TRIAC is equivalent to two SCRs. Okay, we have seen the symbol of TRIAC. A TRIAC is equivalent to two SCRs, but whether the SCRs are parallel or whether the SCRs are in series, whether the SCRs are in inverse parallel or none of the above. So it is bidirectional, means it has to be inverse parallel. A TRIAC is equivalent to two SCRs which are in inverse parallel. So here the option will be C, in inverse parallel. Okay, so these were some 20 questions which I had taken on DIAC, TRAC, UGT, and if you are having any doubts, you can give me a feedback. You can contact me. If you are having any doubt in developing a logic, you can also ask me for that. Okay, thanks for watching. On the same lines, I will be posting my next video also on the other semiconductor components which are used for power electronics, like your SCR. Okay, and then we'll continue with SCR and this thing, laser, maser, and also IC fabrications, and also the different types of designs in your IC fabrications. Clear? Okay, thank you very much for watching this video.